Welcome to She's Got Guts, where functional nutrition meets ancient wisdom to bring you grounded insights and practical tools for your wellness journey. Join Laura, licensed Eastern medicine practitioner and wellness wizard, and Molly, registered dietitian and gut health expert, as they unpack trends, tackle bloating, balance hormones, and help you thrive in modern womanhood without completely frickin' losing your mind. Let's do this. Happy Lunar New Year.
Happy Lunar New Year to you.
So today we're going to talk about all things Lunar New Year, and we're going to talk about what you want to do as a result of this beautiful change in the world.
Yeah, the seasons, the energy, the traditional focus on how to be a part of it and harness it, actually have it be a part of what you think about. We may not be thinking about that. There's a lot of things to think about right now in the world. So thinking about how you can kind of pull the positive energy and be mindful of how that energy can
Yes.
serve you is really great. Yeah,
It's a
so
really
we're
wonderful reminder.
It is, because it's hard. It's so easy to get stuck in the muck and the mire right now, trying to find your way out. It's a lot. I taught a class this weekend on winter tea alchemy, and we did like a sensory experience where we tasted each of these 13 tonic medicinals, and then they rated them based on how they would work for their body and taste and flavor and even their intuition when they tasted them, and then they got to go home with their beautiful tonic. It was a really cool class. Yeah, it was really cool. But one of the things we talked about is when you move through the world right now, there is just so much coming at you. And I couldn't help but that GIF that you can find on your phone kept popping up in my head, the one where there's the girl with all the hot dogs coming at her face. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But she has that like kind of look on her face, and they just like keep coming and coming and coming. That's kind of what it feels like to me right now.
Man.
Is just lots of things coming at you, when you got to
Yeah.
respond. Yeah.
Sure.
And that's actually a great segue, that like responding to the things that are coming at you is actually a really good segue to talking about where we are in this year and where we are in this season. So where we are in this year is a wood snake. And we're moving into, or excuse me, we are currently blossoming into, and the date that marked that was February 17th of the new moon on the quote unquote Lunar New Year. And we're moving into the fire horse. So we're moving from yin to yang. So that energy right there is also very transformative. When we think about wood and we think about fire, we think about how they are part of this generative cycle. So we have metal that feeds water, we have water that feeds wood, we have wood that feeds fire, and then fire back to metal. So metal, water, wood, fire, earth, and they just keep generating. And each year that we change one of the 12 animals, we also rotate through their element that's attached to it.
And is it always in the same order?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. For example, I am a water dragon. So the next time that it's a water dragon year is when I will be 95 years old. So that's my goal, is to make it to 95.
Love it.
So that I can energetically be with what is in the world.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, if you were born actually, I don't even know. I guess it's every 12 years. So 12, 24, or whatever, how many years behind us, you would be a horse, and it would be the year. Well, no, it'd be a full, what's 12 times 5? 70 years ago that you would be fire horse. So we're generating all of that energy, right? So we want it, so they continue to feed each other. So let's figure out how we can harness that energy as humans from the macro to the micro level. Like, where are we at in this big energetic shift of how the moon is and the earth is affecting us, to how we create something wonderful about that. So let's talk first about the wood element and what that actually means. So in Chinese medicine, the wood element is associated with strength, but
What was last year? Strength.
Yes, strength, but with flexibility.
Okay.
And this is the way that I really understand this conceptually, is that if you see two trees next to each other in the forest, And there's one that is very, it's got beautiful bark and lots of tree or, pine leaves or whatever on it, needles or leaves on it. And there's one right next to it that you can tell is not necessarily just a little bit older, but it doesn't necessarily have the vibrance that the other one does. It's a little drier. It might even have some parts on it that aren't necessarily covered in bark, and maybe there's an
Mm.
infection on there, or there's some parts of the leaves that have just died. So let's say that you equate the wind that comes through the forest as these two trees. Sorry. So if these two trees are two different people and you equate the wind to stress coming through, right? Like all of a sudden there's a ton of stress. Here
Right.
comes this big wind. This tree that is standing strong with lots of moisture, really solid roots, is going to be extremely flexible when the wind comes. Like, I got this. I mean, you guys can't see us right now because we're not filming because we were both gross today, but I'm literally swaying back and forth.
Yeah.
If you are the other tree and stress comes, you're depleted, you're dry, you aren't able to be flexible, and shit's gonna crack. Just boom, it's right in half, or maybe you lose a branch or whatever. So that's what I like to think about with the wood element. Just remember that concept. I want to be the tree that's flexible. So the
Okay.
fire element is a little different. The fire element is regenerating from the wood. So just to throw this little concept in here, if you don't have strong wood, your fire can get very chaotic. If you have strong wood, if your fire could be very consistent. I mean, look at those
Okay.
two trees. If we set them on fire, the one on the left is just going to burn up so fast. No time to really engage in that activity. If you're the one on the right, it's going to be very steady. There's going to be a nice release. You've chopped it up, you've let it dry. It's great. You had the time to really harness the breakdown and the expression of that energy. So the fire is very ascending. It can be chaotic. It has expression. It's building up the reserves. It's all about propulsion. However, it can be chaotic and it can be depleting, just like wood can be stiffening and rigid. When you see someone who you can tell they're just not quite anchored within themselves, their roots aren't there, they're not moist, they're not strong, they don't have a strong yin, and they're just rigid. You can have a
Yeah.
conversation with them and they're just so stuck in their ways, they can't be flexible with you in that moment.
Right.
So that's something I like to talk about in terms of like a caution, is when you think about the positive aspects or elements of these elements and how that translates into a bigger picture of how you engage with the world. Remember that we love thinking about how we're moving from wood to fire and like, okay, I built up all these reserves and now I have this time to like go and express them.
Okay.
However, you can overdo it. Need to have awareness and temperance and mindfulness. And I would say, tying this back to the body, you need to have informed action. Definitely. You need to be able to be like, okay, so I can see that I'm about to burn this shit up. How am I going to do that in a way that's going to temper its pace? How am I going to be mindful of what I'm going to receive from using up these reserves? And how am I going to create action by being informed?
So would that be like calming your nervous system down, or is that like organizing literally like your next steps?
I think both. So
Okay.
awareness is, what steps do I need to take?
Mm-hmm.
Temperance is, what's going on in my life and how many steps can I actually take? Mindfulness is, where am I at today? And am I going to be gentle and graceful with myself because I know I can do 2 of my 4 steps that I've laid out in front of me? That's
Right.
the informed action.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
got it.
definitely an internal awareness. Are my roots strong? Can I be flexible here? Do I have the energy to pull it off? So with that kind of in mind, let's talk about how that ties into the snake and the horse. And I have kind of a fun story that when I was in the clinic these last 2, probably 3 weeks, just kind of observing and holding space and just listening to my intuition about how people were feeling when they came in. A lot of like, I'm super stressed, Laura, just turn my brain off and let me melt into the table. A lot of that, but also like fix my shoulder, take my menstrual cramps away, whatever. Um, they, there was a lot of, I'm just ready for this to be done. I'm ready for this feeling to go away. I'm ready to just make this go away kind of thing.
Right.
Which is actually kind of hard because there's a lot of different parts of your personality that you might be embodying there, like victimhood or, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things, but it also is a very natural reaction to like all these hot dogs coming at your face. You're like, at some point in time, you have to start slapping that shit away. Like you just can't do it anymore. So with the snake energy, everyone thinks, hey, we were peeling back the layers. You hear things like what no longer serves me. I think I only
Shedding your
get annoyed by
skin.
that because you hear it so much that it annoys me,
Right.
but it's actually very aligned. I like to
Uh-huh.
think more of a how am I going to let go of things that, yes, are no longer serving me, but also that are not contributing to my highest and best outcome. What's the highest and best here? A very wise woman shared that with me. Hi, Lisa. So when we think about the snake and how I translate that into what I was observing in the clinic, what I met and how to like picture how the energetics of how we're moving from the snake to the horse. So I see this snake and it's been peeling and peeling and peeling. And it's every time we go a millimeter, a quarter of an inch, it's painful. It doesn't feel good. Like letting go is hard and reorganizing just the structure and then rebuilding in the teeniest, tiniest of ways as you make new skin just in those every little bit of releasing. But let's say you get down to the very bottom and you're like, all right, I did all of that work. I am ready to shift. That snake is going to whip like a whip. It's going to whip up its tail and whoosh, like flick off the rest of that like skin. And that's the energy that I see everybody saying, I'm just so ready for this to be done. I just need to flick it off. And what we do is we scare the crap out of the horse that's standing in front of us when the snake acts like that and the horse is like propulsing forward right into the fire element. So you can imagine this, like, I mean, you always, how you see the little cartoons of the horse being scared of the snake? That's what made me think of it. I was like, oh, that's actually a really good way to describe what we're moving into.
It is.
And thinking about how we can have a snake that maybe didn't, like, what if you literally don't have enough nutrients or awareness? We're translating kind of from, I'm trying to like bring the body in here a little bit. Like, what if you don't have enough awareness of how to really care for yourself as that skin comes away and what's left there isn't quite as nourished as we want it to be? So let's say we're rebuilding our gut microbiome, and maybe we're not being as mindful as we need to about fiber, which is the baseline for allowing all of that stuff to go down. Like if you're not doing that, then what kind of results are you getting? They're maybe not the best that you want. Right. Again, we have to be mindful, have awareness, have temperance, be mindful, make informed action.
Okay, love it.
So I think thinking about moving from wood snake to fire horse is also, it's a good time when we think about where we are in the year. Like winter is deep into, it's actually water element. We're deep in the water. It's just like snake energy. We're contemplating, we're building, we're letting go of what doesn't serve us so we can put things more, layer on the parts of us that we want to use and express moving forward. Then we move into spring, which is the wood element, which is very cool because that's where we are in the snake right now. And then we're going to propel into the spring or the summertime when it's fire and it's the horse. So it's very similar. So that energy that you're seeing from the snake to wood snake to the fire horse is very similar to just moving from winter to spring. And as most of you know, and you guys know, Molly and I feel this way, we're not a big fan of trying to make resolutions in the deep winter on January 1st. Like that's not the way that we love to do it. Because it just doesn't make any sense. It also
does not
even,
make any
I mean,
sense.
No. And I mean, I'm in the Pacific Northwest and it's rainy and it's cold. And I mean, we were in the gorge, the beautiful Columbia River Gorge this weekend. We woke up on Saturday morning and it was just this beautiful snow everywhere. But nobody was like, okay, let's go for a hike. We had like a forest bathing thing in mind. We were all like, no, we're good. We're
Yeah.
gonna actually just
Yeah.
all be in the sauna. Let's just like
Right.
rotate out of the sauna for 2 hours instead, which was really
You
nice.
get
And
to a
stand in
point
the
that is
snow.
nice. That is nice. You
Hmm.
get to a point where it's like I can't stand to be out there anymore. Like I've embraced it. I've done it. I'm over it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that's the energy I'm talking about with the like I'm ready to flick off the snake stuff, right? Like I'm ready to
Mhm.
flick off this last little bit of skin. Like I'm kind of done
Whoops.
with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you do have that energy, but remembering that with the temperance, that where we are in the winter, let's take this to food. So where we are in the winter, we're still going to be cooking soup. We're
Hmm.
still going to be roasting vegetables. We're still going to be, you
Right.
know, steaming vegetables. We're maybe starting to add maybe some fresh sprouts that you see at the store. Maybe we're sprinkling some more fresh things, or maybe we're just putting a pile of lettuce with some nice balsamic dressing on it or something next to what we would normally eat instead of maybe a whole salad with meat on top of
Hmm.
it. Maybe it's more of the opposite, you know? So we're starting
Hmm.
to add in a little bit more of that green to bring in
Yeah.
where the season is. And it's so cool too, because you think about what's happening outside. I mean, I went on my walk, it was before I left for the weekend, and there was this beautiful little fig tree, and it had probably like 3 millimeters of little sprouts coming out. And I love this fig tree. It grows the best figs. I'm such a neighborhood forager. Like, I walk around and I come
Mm.
home with like my shirt folded, you know, and I like stuff it in as like I'm a little kangaroo pouch of
Yeah.
all sorts
That's
of stuff in
amazing.
it. And I eat a bunch on the
Yes.
way.
Hmm.
Reminds me of my childhood. But yeah, make just kind of looking outside like, okay, so the greens are coming up. Like maybe it's time to start buying that fresh cilantro and the fresh basil. And even if it's the little packages of 3 or 4 sprigs of thyme or whatever, like start throwing those in.
Yeah.
That's the spring energy, is that's what that is. That's
Okay.
bringing in the green and the fresh, especially the sprouts. It's a fun time if you're looking for a little something new to do, you know, get one of those little sprouters. Start sprouting
Hmm.
some chia seeds, start sprouting some wheatgrass or whatever, and start
Yeah.
sprinkling it on. Yeah. Because, I mean, you
That
know
sounds
the
great.
power of them. They're so full of
They
nutrients.
are. Yes, and we've talked about that in the past on our super greens one. But the sprout holds all of the same nutrients as the whole big leaf, except it's a little tiny thing.
Yeah.
So, getting that
Yeah.
in the smaller, it's not as much fiber, but it certainly is more nutrients. That's a really good
Hmm.
idea. And I appreciate your take on this because, when we're looking at where we've been since January 1st and how we have still been wintering, and it's been a rough
Hmm.
winter for many people in
Yeah.
terms of weather, then it's like, oh, wow, like I'm not necessarily ready to make these changes, but I do like the Lunar New Year because I feel
Hmm.
like there is, I mean, here we have a really early peach trees and they are blossoming in South
Yes.
Carolina. I know it's really nice. So that's
Oh.
been great. And it's more of a time like, all right, even though it's 35 degrees out today,
Yeah.
it is almost over. Like there is an end in sight. And I feel that that's very important for us to now start to. And I really like because, again, even now it's the Lunar New Year. It's like, okay, now I have to get all my shit together and have everything perfect and know exactly what I'm going to do and follow through on this plan every day.
Hmm.
And, I've come down with a cold. So I'm thinking, like, oh, now I can't. But I
Yeah.
think that it's very important to hear what you're saying, which is honor where you are. Don't
Hmm.
flick it off, but just slowly
Yeah.
slither out of that skin,
Hmm.
mindfully, knowing that you're
Hmm.
taking steps toward the horse instead
Yeah.
of just beating the horse in the face and then getting really tired and not following through on the things that you want to
Poor
do.
horse.
I know the
Poor
poor
horse.
horse. He doesn't need
Well,
that.
and one thing I think that's pretty magical too about the horse energy, that I'm glad you just said that and it made me think of it. There is someone that I follow on social who is a woman who lives on a ranch, and people come over to her home and they lay down on a massage table in the middle of her horse field, and she does energetic work on them. And
Mm.
then the horses come over, and it is incredible where they just naturally stand. One of them will come and stand at the feet as though they're like, I got you. I'm going to keep them grounded right now. And then some of them will
Mm.
stand like they'll put their head right at the top the crown of their head, like where all the energy comes in. It's almost like they're acting as a little buffer or a little
Mm.
filter.
Hmm.
So, from that like mystical point of view and that beautiful intuitive point of view, remember that you have a lot of you can rally the horse intuition, which is very sharp and very
Mm-hmm.
strong and very
Mm-hmm.
empathetic, I would say. Like, I feel like horses are really empathetic. Like, they can really read you. If you've ever been around horses, you know this.
Mm-hmm.
But but having that temperance with that intuition, I think is a great way to kind of pair them together. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
I need to listen to my intuition and also
Right.
remember that that doesn't mean that I need to be like, oh, straight off and go like make 18 projects from this one thought, but okay, let's take it one step at a time and know that once you start accumulating and accumulating and then you take that action, that in this year your intuition will be with you and you'll have good propulsion. I really like that word for the horse because of fire. Like, horses go fast. And I guess
Yeah.
that in the last fire horse years, I think there was a big war. I think it was like in the 60s. And then there was also when the car, like the automotive car, was created. I want to say like in the early
Wow.
1900s. Sorry, I'm not a historian. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing, is that be mindful that jumping on the stocks of good technology is probably a good idea too. I mean, it's scary when you think about where we are in the AI world and all of that, but we
Right.
are moving very fast in technology. And I think AI is actually a really good example of the horse taken too far, right? Like, we are thinking about corporate profits and what country is going to be the one that's going to release these, you know, extremely complex models of AI to do whatever it is the hell they want to do to help humans. But they're all taking the race to the game and they're not considering safety. They're not having an
Right.
awareness or tempering it. And they're not
Yeah.
considering how they might respond and that they're going to do things on their own. They're not being mindful of any of that. And they're not taking informed action. And it will burn. It will burn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we will,
Oh,
and
yeah.
unfortunately, we will probably suffer. So that's something to think about too, is that technology is a big part of the horse years.
And we can control what we can control.
Mm-hmm.
So being mindful of, yes, all that stuff, and also then bringing it back internally, like, all right, well, here's what I'm responsible for, and here's what I can influence. And one of those things is how I handle this transition, and one of those things is how I treat others.
Mm-hmm.
Like standing in line. I feel like people are so rude lately.
Oh,
And I think,
did you have an experience that someone was
no,
rude
no,
to
no,
you
no,
in
no.
line? Oh,
I think a lot of people have just like common manners are not as common anymore.
that
And I think there's
sucks.
just like an overall kind of impatience.
Uh-huh.
So part of that comes from everyone getting instant gratification so often. So I would
Yes.
encourage us to be a
Yes.
little more patient when we are face to face with people. If someone in front of you in the checkout line is taking a long time,
Mm-hmm.
huffing and puffing and being annoyed with them isn't actually making the line move
No.
any faster.
Have some awareness. Have some temperance, like take a moment, take a breath, and realize the people in front of you aren't going to move as fast as you standing there on your phone scrolling through different reels. That's never going to
Right.
happen. How can you expect what's happening in that brain staring at social media scrolling is going to be the same as the action around you? Humans aren't the same.
They're not the same. And in a world where, we are so removed from each other and everybody does feel divided a lot of the time, I think it's nice to find that connection where you can, with a stranger, hold the door open or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But there's really something about making someone else's day easier. So think
Mm-hmm.
about the cashier who's dealing with the 80-year-old person that's in line in front of you. Like, are they going to have a better
Yeah.
day if they look up and see a bunch of pissed off people, or if they look up
Right.
and see a bunch of people who don't care,
Like, hey, thank
who are
you.
willing to wait because they're in line?
I was printing the stuff at FedEx for this retreat, and there was a gentleman in there and he was standing by the door and someone else is walking out, and it's one of those like open automatically doors, and he was like, how about I get the door for you? The dude was, and everyone
Oh.
started, there was like 4 or 5 people around that started laughing, and I was like, oh, I love this moment. Everybody's laughing together. It wasn't just I'm on my printer machine,
Mhm.
trying to make this stupid stuff print or whatever. It was great. I love those
That's so
moments.
cute. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, thank you for this beautiful education, and everybody
Yeah.
will take it with them, hopefully, and have a wonderful transitional
Well,
week.
and I want to say that the horse is, we're all gonna, this is my, what I'm running with the horse this year, because I feel like pieces are finally in place. And personally, I am going to mount up. I'm going to feel the leather in between my legs. My tits
Hmm.
are out. My hair is in the wind. And we're like, oh God, that sound was a little culturally appropriating. Sorry. More like, woohoo, here we go. Let's ride
Yeah.
this horse and make it happen. I love it.
I think that
Unbridled.
sounds great. Unbridled. Hashtag. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. We offer personalized support to clients in many ways and would love to work with you. Reach out to Laura at Lala's Wellness and Molly at Women's Gut Health for more information. Unlock your full health and hormone potential with Super Q, Boom Bomb, and Best Tea. Check out the link in the show notes for more. See you next Saturday.